Are you a thoughtful leader? Maybe you are. Maybe you think you are. Let's find out. I'm Mindy Gibbins-Klein. I'm author of The Thoughtful Leader and host of the Thoughtful Leader podcast. Thoughtful leadership is all about thought leadership that goes above and beyond. Thought leadership that is truly new and original, exciting, disruptive, maybe even groundbreaking. Because let's face it, we need to raise the bar. My guests and I are absolutely obsessed with finding truly original thought leadership, and I'm going to bring you so many exciting ideas and opportunities, things for you to think about, and chances for you to push your thinking that you'll be very glad you tuned in. So thanks so much for checking out Thoughtful Leadership and the Thoughtful Leader podcast. I look forward to connecting with you very, very soon. Let's talk about bragging. Bragging right. Not bragging rights, although that is part of it. So, you have bragging rights, you've done this thing and you can shout about it. That is what we're talking about. But what I have been thinking about lately is how to brag, how to do it right. Because there are many wrong ways to do it. So I'd like to explore that, because if you have been achieving great things, but not getting the recognition that you deserve, most probably there are ways for you to improve how you are talking about your achievements. So we'll call it bragging. And in this case, let's not use bragging in a derogatory sense. Let's not say bragging is a bad thing. But before we do that, let's talk about when it is a bad thing. I always like stirring things up. In this episode, I would like you to consider not just yourself, but examples of other people you know, people you see online and offline. I think online it's a lot more obvious because you can scroll through any social media platform and see 100 examples of what people are doing very, very quickly. Whereas at a conference, you might hear 10 speakers. So let's talk about what is not necessarily a good way to brag about yourself. The first thing is the exaggeration and the emphasis not being quite right. So, for example, if somebody says, "What do you do?" Typical networking question, "What's your work?" You can say, "I work with students, I work with entrepreneurs, I develop programs for corporate training," whatever you say. But to continue and say, and the best, the top, the most, the first, the award-winning, the winner of 5 gold medals, and when you haven't really warmed up the conversation, it's kind of like coming on too strong on a date. So if it's the first time that you are meeting that person, or online, if it's the first time that you are showing up in a Facebook or LinkedIn group or something like that, don't go in all guns blazing. Don't bring out every single trophy in the cabinet. This is my advice. This is what I would ask you to consider, as we say here. Consider what you're sharing and drip feeding it, and really just ask yourself, how would I react if somebody said, "And I've won more awards than anyone else in my industry, and what is the effect?" Is it kind of like, "Oh gosh, I don't like this. I don't like how this makes me feel." If you can empathize and put yourself in someone else's shoes, you'll be in a good position to plan how you approach these conversations. And that is one of the key words, as you know, to plan. And I don't mean you have to plan every conversation. I put in some planning that will work for all or most of your conversations. And that includes interactions online. So another thing to look for is too much, too often, just saying too much. So long posts that are just cringeworthy in terms of boosting the person up. Too frequent, as I said. There's a fine line. And I can't tell you where that line is and when it's appropriate to approach the line. But be aware that there is a fine line between saying enough so that people know how good you are and saying too much so that they think, oh, this is just talking about yourself all the time. I know on this show we've spoken about the 80-20 rule, which is 80% of the time you want to be sharing information, content, wisdom, ideas, training, coaching, and educating people. And 20% of the time you can promote yourself, your products, your services. And that includes sharing about achievements, award wins, best-selling books. Just be aware of that. How frequently are you bringing in the promotion element? Is it more than 20%? And I'm guilty of this sometimes because I do enter a lot of competitions, awards. I have a lot of books. There's always something happening, something exciting to announce. I have struggled with this. And there may be people out there who think, oh my gosh, Mindy's always bragging. They may. Being a thoughtful leader, I think twice and 3 times before posting anything. So if it's made it through that filter, then hopefully it's hitting the right mark. But I'm sure it doesn't with everybody. So there's someone else in my network, a friend who we have a lot of mutual friends, and 3 different people said to me about this person, they're always bragging. So this is another reason why the word was in my mind. 3 different people saying, oh, he's always bragging or boasting. I cannot remember if they've all said bragging, but it's pretty much interchangeable. Boasting, talking himself up. And it's hard because, well, people have to do whatever it is they feel they have to do. So 2 of those friends said that they unfollowed, unfriended, and 1 even blocked this person. They just couldn't cope with it. They didn't want to read it. But that's their reaction. Everyone's entitled to their reaction. You are entitled to your reaction to anything you see online or offline. You're entitled to your reaction about what I'm saying now. Your reaction to, you get it. You're entitled to your reactions. Let's just leave it there. That means other people are as well. So when you go to market, when you put yourself out there, you post something, even a comment, even if you're commenting on someone else's post, you can stop and think just briefly, how do I want to come across? What is the purpose? What is my intention here? And just having a few moments to let it run through your consciousness filter. Don't just type a response or a comment and put it out there without thinking. That's another thing you may want to consider doing and doing more often. So I enjoy commenting and being part of a conversation where I'm not sure what comment I should put. I think about it a bit. If I can't think of exactly how I want to put it, I will like the post. This may sound like a cop-out because people really want our comments, but I personally feel that if I cannot come up with the thoughtful comment that I want in that particular instance, so for that blog post or that social media post, whatever it is, request for help, if I cannot put it across in a way that I'm happy with and happy how it makes me look and feel, I will just give it a like. I have even been known to share, because sharing is the ultimate gift when somebody is saying something that resonates with you. And if I can't come up with the perfect comment, then I will share with a short comment saying, have a look at this. This is someone I really respect. So back to you, because I think you're interested in tips to help you brag right. That's what I've promised. So doing it at the right pace or the right frequency, being aware of your words and the length of your comment, and just putting yourself in the other person's shoes. So being aware of how other people's comments and posts are affecting you, how you're reacting. So that's a start. The other thing to do is, if you have a mastermind group or a group of trusted colleagues or even friends, but they really should know your business, you can ask them You can, in fact, bounce ideas off other people. If it's a trusted group, a group of trusted colleagues, they will tell you, that sounds a bit cringy, or that sounds great, or, you're not bigging yourself up enough. They might say that. Remember, there's a fine line. So you want to strike the balance, and you may want input from people you like and trust. Why not? Unless it's, well, I was going to say, if it's something confidential, you won't be sharing it at all. So if you're about to share something and you want to ask even one or two people, go ahead, because their input could be invaluable. And we've got some wind chimes blowing outside. So this is reinforcing what I'm saying. I know I'm on the right track. Now, how do you know you're on the right track? So there is the external validation. So this input from your peers, friends, colleagues. There's internal validation. There's a feeling, just a gut feel that, yeah, I've got that right. I've struck the balance. I have managed to get my point across and share without going over the top and annoying people. So listen out for that and really watch out for that feeling. I don't know what the expression is, but notice the feeling when it comes. Notice when it feels great. See if you can have more instances of times when it feels great and you know that you're on the right track. And guess what? If you have got it wrong, because I know I've said bragging right, if you have put out comments or posts that you now think, that you now realize is not the way you want to come across, guess what? You can delete most things. You can delete or hide most comments that you wrote, and definitely most posts that you posted. Now, if somebody grabbed it and saved it somewhere, it won't disappear from the internet, but you can probably remove it from your LinkedIn profile, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or anywhere else. If there's a video that you put out and you think, oh my gosh, it was just boasting, feel free to hide it, make it unlisted or private or delete it. So you see, we have options, even going back at, and looking at things we've done in the past. This is hard to do. All this self-reflection is requires being a big person and doing the hard thing. But as you know, I love that. I love the challenge. And I love seeing people challenge themselves and do that hard thing that most people aren't willing to do. And you'll be really proud of yourself. Simply noticing is the first step, as we say all the time here at The Thoughtful Leader, becoming awareness, noticing. Then you can do something about it. So what led you to listen to this particular episode or watch this particular episode? Probably you want to do the bragging right. Let's talk about how you can talk about your achievements. Now, I don't have all the answers, and I'm not going to be able to give all the examples, but I'll give some. And I'll use myself as a subject because, as I say, I have got it wrong so many times, but I think I've fixed it a few times as well. The first thing you do before posting something is think, what is my objective? What's my intention? What's my purpose? Okay, we know that. Crafting something that says enough really means that you need some details. So aim to be specific. Don't just say, I was so pleased to be shortlisted for an award last month without naming the award or showing the actual, the graphic or the logo of the awards. So you need to be specific enough. That you could go further and you could say, I was shortlisted for Specialist Coach of the Year, which I was 10 years ago. I've just given you another clue. It's how you say things. So I'm laughing because it is kind of funny to bring up achievements from 10 years ago. I am still proud of that. I did win that Specialist Coach of the Year exactly 10 years ago. In fact, I think I'll do a post about it. And it would be very easy for me to just drag the post out, if I could even find it, and share it. But it's about my perspective now. I've come a long way in 10 years, as I know you have as well. So what could you add to it? if you have an achievement from 10 or 5 or even 2 years ago, or even last year. If you want to bring it up again, it needs a new perspective. In the PR industry, we would say it needs a new hook or angle. You cannot just trot out the same story. Well, you can, but it's not going to be effective. So what could you add to it? What perspective or insight have you had now after 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? And that's the magic. It shows that you've reflected on it. It shows that you are a thoughtful leader. We always have to come back to that, because we thoughtful leaders are meant to be doing the things that other people don't do, won't do, don't want to do. It's too hard. They don't want to put in the effort. That's fine, but it's not fine for us. Here are a few more things that are on my mind now. So it's the words you use. It's also the people you tag. I'm not a big fan of being tagged when it's not directly relevant to me. As an example, somebody's running a program, they're promoting something, and they tag a bunch of people so that we see it and our network see it. Very bad form. This is not my opinion. This is fact. I don't know if you'll go to Facebook or LinkedIn jail for doing it. It's just, it's not the done thing to tag people just so that you get more likes or shares. In fact, I usually remove the tag, not always. If it's somebody that I like and I'm trying to help them, I may leave it in, but it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Now, it's very different if I was at an awards dinner and there were 10 people there and we all got tagged by the organizer or one of the other shortlisted people or what. That's different because we were there. And if we're in a photo, fine, tag me, unless I don't look my best, in which case don't tag me. But you really need to think about this. It's a cheap and nasty way of trying to get eyeballs on your post. Please don't do it. Good, I got that across. I'm supposed to be talking about what you do want to do. And so you want to do the opposite of that. You want to put out valuable content, tag people who are related to that story or that photo or that event. You can bring other people in. So this is the last thing I'm going to talk about. I'm sure you've seen this strategy before, but to do the bragging right, it really is helpful if you have people sharing and talking about you, and if you're not the only one bragging. So you don't do it just by naming them. You don't put them, just a tag. You will mention why you're tagging them. They were there with you. You did their program. They've been a friend for 10 years, whatever. There needs to be a reason. You can also privately send them a message, a text or something, and say, if you have a moment, would you please like my post or share it or comment? And they may or they may not. You can ask. And if you ask in the nicest possible way, they hopefully, if they are a true friend or a trusted colleague, they hopefully will want to help you and make time to do it. The law of reciprocity comes in here. Are you doing that for other people? Are you liking and commenting and sharing on their posts? Because you do build up those reserves in the emotional bank account. I know I'm using some jargon here, but I think you know that phrase. You are what you repeatedly do, and people will see you as a giver if you like, comment, and share their content and their posts. That's what will happen. And then when you need something, I'm not saying they will definitely respond and be there and comply, but it's more likely that they'll want to help you because that reciprocity, that wanting to reciprocate. Be aware of that. Be aware of your own actions. If you're scrolling through any of these platforms and you see something from a friend that you like, it takes 1 second to give it a heart. It takes maybe 1 minute to put a thoughtful comment, even a short one. And it probably takes 1 minute to share. So it's up to you. But if you haven't been doing that and you expect other people to keep sharing your stuff and sharing about you, it might be challenging. That's okay. As I say, you can't really change the past. You can delete stuff, but you can change how you behave from today onwards. Speaking of other people, and how to get them to talk about you and say good things. Have more time for people, one-to-one time. The pandemic has taught us that we actually do have more time. Less commuting time created more time for conversations. Not everybody used their time for that kind of stuff, but most people I know, they did deepen friendships. They did reach out to people from their past and present. And I know I've had more conversations, and I know there are people out there who I can ask if they would do something. But where you really want to get to is where they spontaneously share something that you post, and that you can't really control. So to be open to it, be aware of it, be focused on that, be focused on being helpful and generous wherever you interact online and offline, obviously. I've just connected two people who I met on the same day, and I've connected them for a potential intimate relationship. It was a bit of a risk. I didn't really know either one very well, but I had a gut feeling. And so I shared openly, and I said, I don't really know this person. I've just met them, but I just have a feeling you might like each other. It was a really big risk. I will have to report back about what happened because they haven't gone on the date yet. But this is how you want to be seen, I think. I mean, not as a matchmaker. I mean, as a helpful person, as a generous person. So that brings us to the end of this episode. You see how I just bragged about what I did? I just told you what I did. I didn't say I'm the best matchmaker in the world. And I softened it by saying, I don't know if it's going to work out. In fact, I said that to them. Don't blame me if you don't get on, if it doesn't work out. Anyway, it's a bit of fun. Have fun with it. Have fun with it all. Don't be so serious, and just become aware and gradually improve the way that you brag about yourself and others. And if you ever want to brag about me and this podcast, I will be very grateful. Managed to get that in now. Good. Have a great day ahead, and speak to you soon. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Thoughtful Leader, and I hope it's inspired you to be more thoughtful as a leader in your business. Please consider subscribing and leaving a review. An important question for you. Do you want to create a culture of thought leadership in your organization? My best-selling book, The Thoughtful Leader, is available now on Amazon and many other sites in paperback, ebook, and audiobook formats. Please visit www.mindygk.com for more great content. That's www.mindygk.com. Speak to you again soon.